Cool.
Oh man.
Just let me know when we're live.
We should be good now. I got Brandon taking a nice big sigh at first thing coming through.
Great.
Let's get the chat moved so I can see it. Outline. So, oh my god. I don't know why I put my monitor in portrait mode instead of landscape mode. Should have just kept it in landscape. It's there, that's there, that's there. Okay. Yeah, we're live whenever. So whenever you want to start, whenever you and Brandon are both ready, I'm good to go.
I'm ready.
Right, everybody. Welcome to another League One on the Rocks. Week 3 is in the books, so we're going to be chatting about that. We have a special guest tonight. As you can see at the bottom of the screen or wherever he is on your screen at home, we got Brandon in the house, man. This is awesome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's
Talking about
awesome to
awesome
have you.
work. You're
Thanks
talking
for
about
joining.
fantastic. All these awesome work. So I'm really glad to be here.
Well, we're
And
glad to have you.
if any of you at home cannot tell what's happening right now, we're going to be talking about League One tonight, and each of us is wearing our respective Premier League clubs tonight.
Totally unplanned as well.
Yeah.
The weirdest part.
Well, there was a lot of action in week 3, but before we get too far, guys, what are you drinking tonight?
I got Busch Lights again. I
Yeah.
have a ton in my fridge still, so I'm working on those guys.
I am drinking chocolate milk.
There you go.
Dude.
So,
Oh, man. Brandon, you were already one of my favorite people, and now you just became a little bit higher on that list.
No, we have a local creamery that we buy all of our milk from, and they happen to sell chocolate milk. And that made me sound really bougie. We have
a local creamery.
It's like the one fancy thing I buy is milk, and but they have you can get half gallons of chocolate milk.
Wow.
And I was getting milk last Friday, and it was staring me in the face, and I was like, "Am I going to make the right decision, or am I going to not buy milk?"
Yeah.
Chocolate milk. Am I going to not buy chocolate milk? The right decision is to buy the chocolate milk, obviously.
Every time.
Yeah. So this stuff's crazy though. It's literally like drinking a milkshake. It's nuts. So
give a shout out to them. Where'd you get it from?
Happy Cow.
There you go.
Happy Cow Creamery. Oh my
Perfect.
goodness. They need any help. They probably need me to not talk about them. They're always busy.
Can't keep
when
up.
When the day comes that I finally get myself down to Greenville, I'll head out to Happy Cow.
They give tours. The whole nine. It's a crazy operation.
Yeah.
Better.
So tonight I am drinking Woodsman Porter.
Ooh.
Yeah. This one is from Hood River, Oregon.
That's fantastic.
Hood River.
Yeah.
That's
Never heard.
Never.
Never heard of it. Never heard of it.
I made that up.
Been there many a time.
Ooh,
that looks
the river where I was born.
In a van down by the river.
Perfect.
Oh man.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Well,
and a big cheers to Brandon, man. You won the E-Cup.
Yeah, that was weird.
We got the champ in the house. Not only did you win it, you won it inspired by Gio with that chip in the last goal.
Yeah, no, that was I don't know. I really didn't feel like I was going to be able to do very much. I mean, I think I talked about it going into that game. Like, I really felt like I was the underdog a little bit there. I was okay with that. Like, it's FIFA. It's a tournament, like, there's no sense in being like crazy nervous about it or anything like that. Like, I kind of felt like he was really solid, really, really good player. I was like, hey, listen, what happens. And then that happened. And I was like, and I watched the video back later, and it was just, it made me laugh so hard because, I saw it posted on Twitter, so I went back and watched it, and all I said was, "There it is," and it was just like
Yeah.
that. And it was just like that. Like, I chipped someone to win the national championship, and all I said was, "There it is," like that.
Nope. I was gonna tease you about that too. That's like that, and boom goes the dynamite.
Yeah. So, no, he was really good, and it was a really tough game. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I had never done anything like that before, and in fact, I wasn't planning on doing it. Gio was like, "Hey, you should join this. We have an extra spot, and I think you could do really well." And I was like, I don't know about that, but sure, whatever. It's like Friday or Saturday nights for 15 minutes. Why not?
Yeah.
And sure enough, next thing I know, I am the champion of the division. So it was pretty fun. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Hopefully, I can
Cool.
win again next year.
Yeah, you got to defend that title.
Yeah, now I
Yeah.
have to come back.
Yeah, you don't have a choice.
It's not peer pressure this time, unlike the first time. Defending my honor.
When you won and you started celebrating, was your wife just okay?
She was in our bedroom, so she goes to bed really early because she's in nursing school.
Yeah.
And so she gets up really early in the morning. So she had like brown noise playing in the bedroom. She couldn't hear a thing. And I like run in there. I'm like, I just won. And she's like half asleep, like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. She's like hardly able to like comprehend what I'm talking about. Um, so yeah, no, she was a little caught off guard by my running and antics, but up until up until I ran into the room, she had no idea what was even happening. She was like almost passed out. So yeah.
Nice. So do you
Okay,
think the
okay.
field should expand next year?
Hmm?
Do you think the field should expand next year?
Well, I don't know. I thought that we had a really good group of players last year. I think part of the reason the group that we had, let's say last year, I meant this year. Part of the reason that our group was a little bit smaller is because it was the old gen consoles. That was the main reason that we were all playing in that division. I think maybe not. Maybe I was the only one who could. I, that's the only console I have, so that's the only reason I play in the division too. But yeah, so I think that was part of it. There weren't as many people who are using the old gen consoles still. I think it would be cool, but they'd probably have to redo the format, just especially as time goes on. If they do move to new gen, it would be really cool to see kind of that first division and second division kind of expand for sure. So we'll just see I guess, how the market goes for Xboxes and PlayStation 5s and if they decide to change it up next year or not.
Is that how the divisions were decided, whether what generation of system you had?
Technically, I know some people were in certain divisions just because they wanted to be in one. Like I think some people were in second division just because they wanted to be.
Mhm.
But a lot of it was new gen, old gen. You could not play new gen in the second division. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, you had to play with an old gen console. So I don't know if some people were just doing second generation because they wanted to, or I mean second division because they wanted to, or if they were all doing it because of old gen. I'm not 100% sure. Um, but yeah.
And you're on Xbox?
Yeah, and that was, oh my gosh. It made me so mad, and it's the crossplay is not fun. It's really slow, and
Yeah.
so adapting to that was kinda tough. Just making sure that I, set up in a way that would be beneficial to not having a lot of time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because everything feels like it's on a delay. So luckily, that last game, it didn't feel like that at all. Like I felt like I was playing a normal game, but for most of the tournament, it was kind of frustrating. I felt like I was like drinking a chocolate chip cookie dough milkshake, and like there was a piece of chocolate chip cookie dough stuck to the straw, so you're just getting like a tiny bit through.
Oh
That's
Yeah.
man.
in the game. It was, oh my gosh. Um, but and I know part of that is just that might have been my Xbox too, because I'm streaming through my Xbox and playing crossplay with someone on PlayStation. So it very well could have just been me and everybody else is like, oh, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was. that was the toughest part, was trying to overcome that. Sometimes there were times where I was literally like, okay, like I've got to anticipate what feels like an eternity ahead here.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it worked out though. And here I am as a champion. So I thought they were. I think the final was either tonight for the first division or tomorrow.
I think you're right. I think you're right. It's either tonight or tomorrow. I can't
I thought
remember.
it was supposed to be Tuesday, but I haven't seen anything about it. So maybe it's tomorrow now. I don't know, but that one's gonna be crazy. I can't imagine playing either of those guys. Like they're insane.
Yeah.
And like there was some Geo joked to me about saying like I should request a super cup, and I'm like, man, that guy beat somebody like 15-0 like 3 games ago. Like, no, thank you. I think I'd rather have 21-0. Um, so yeah, I don't know. We'll see, but I think one of them even like I don't think he's professional or anything like that, but he seems like he plays in a lot of tournaments. So the guy from Lane United,
Okay.
yeah, he's plays in a lot of tournaments, I think. So and then the Providence guy's just fantastic. But
Yeah.
yeah, so that should be a really exciting game to watch, and that's on new gen. So it'd be nice and in high def too.
Yeah. There's a lot of big names within the League One community that are involved with the E Cup. I mean, obviously you're involved with it. Geo, obviously he's involved. Evan Warwick up at Ford Madison, he's involved. Um, it's cool to see that there are so many League One, people, recognizable, names that we see all the time on Twitter and social media and everything that are involved in it and being successful with it too.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. I mean, because that's the fun of it, right? Is like you meet people through it. You know, I'm still playing games with people because of it. You know, I'll play friendlies or whatever, and um, you get to know a lot of people that way, and just hanging out and playing FIFA with them. And there are so many people who have kind of gotten into the League One space or like um, you know, have become more recognizable in the League One space even because of that. You know, like that's how Evan got his job, right?
Yeah,
Like with
I
Ford
was going to bring
Madison
that up
was
too.
like through that. Yeah. So
Yeah,
like it's just cool stuff like that where um the power of lower league soccer is just really cool because you get to see those connections develop in real time. And I think that's one of I hope it continues just because for me, even as someone who wasn't necessarily affiliated with a club in terms of like for the tournament or whatever, just because I joined at the last second, um, I still felt like I was like getting a lot of friendships and things like that. And it'd be really cool to see more League One clubs kind of jump into that space and create some create something with the supporters, telling more stories and things like that. That
yeah,
would create just a richer fan culture. And I think clubs like Madison and Greenville are doing a really good job with that. And so even yes, Union Omaha is jumping into that a little bit as well. So that'll be exciting as that expands more. Hopefully it does continue. I don't. There was talks about if it was the last one or not. So hopefully it's not.
oh really, last one? Oh, I
Yeah,
hope not.
there was I don't know if that's true or not. There was just like they had kind of teased it and then teased the opposite like 3 weeks later. So I really don't know what the heck is going on.
Yeah.
But one second it was at one point it was like I don't know, this might be the last one, and they're like maybe not. So
Yep,
Well,
sounds
hopefully
about
it'll
like League
continue.
One.
Yeah, yeah.
oh
And then
man.
you're doing Tactical Tuesdays with Walking 90, is that right? Or are you still doing that with League One Review, your site?
But a little of both.
Yeah,
I'm working on something right now. It kind of morphed away from Tuesdays, just because I wanted to give myself more time to watch the game, um, and kind of just go over it and make video. Uh, but yeah, so no, every other week. So I'm going to release another video this week, actually about the North Carolina Lexington game this
yeah,
week. There was some really interesting stuff in there, and so I think I'm going to talk specifically about a couple of players instead of just the performance as a whole.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, no, that's every other week I'm going to be doing that with Walking 90 and all my own stuff as well. My plan is to start eventually getting in a lot more content soon. I've got some stuff with Richmond that I've been working on, just thinking through their game recently and kind of some of the struggles they've had, both offensively and in the midfield. But and kind of where they go from here. But I already kind of talked about that a couple weeks ago, so I've been kind of holding off on it a little bit, and also
Yeah.
trying to give them more time to gel before I, dive too far into that because it may just very well be, Ethan Bryant. That's a big hole to fill. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
in the midfield, so it may just be that Justin Suko needs time to kind of gel with everybody. And I mean, he's played pretty well, but I
Yeah.
definitely think that there's been an adjustment period. So.
Yeah. He had a pretty good performance this past weekend.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was definitely the best one so far. I thought that the one against the first game against Charlotte, he just looked a little out of place and
Yeah.
not it's just just a little all over the place, and I think that's first game stuff. I think
He put
every
in a lot of cardio that night, but didn't have a whole lot of, statistical output for that
No, yeah, he
performance.
ran a lot. That's, I mean, I remember I thought it was funny. I'd watched that game like 4 times, and, I only listen with no offense, Ross. I only listen with the commentary like half the time.
Yeah.
And so like I'll listen to it like I think I watched the game 4 times total. Um and but obviously on like double speed. And that's why I don't listen to commentary because it's like a
Yeah.
30
Makes
second.
sense.
Um, but when I was watching it in regular speed, he makes the joke that like he hadn't called Justin Suko's name like all game, and like suddenly in the 81st minute, he was like, "Oh, and there's Justin Suko." Um, by the way, um, so yeah, that was. I think he'll grow into it, but it'll be really interesting to see how Jagomero does too. It looks like they kind of see him as a Neil Vinyals understudy,
Yeah.
but it'll be really interesting to see if they kind of try to shoehorn him into the other side as well. I see where they're coming from in terms of being a Neil Vinyals understudy, but I'd be really interested to see them both play.
He has plenty of scoring capabilities, though. So
Mm-hmm.
he may not always be the facilitator like Vinyals, but he could end up, playing even as like a number 10 at
Yeah,
some point.
for sure. No, yeah, I think he's fantastic. It'd be really interesting to see him
Yeah.
get more game time this year. Hopefully, he will.
Yeah. Yep. And if you don't follow Brandon on Twitter or any social media, uh, has he runs League One review. So if you're on social media, go follow those accounts and check out his content because he has plenty of really good stuff.
See, I can edit my name. I'll do the USL League One review. If you're watching live, I am literally changing this while we're doing this. So
There
there
we
we go.
go.
On the
Uh,
fly.
yeah. So
And
there we
are
go.
you still doing some consulting work or whatever with Minneapolis City?
I am, yeah. So I
Nice.
do performance and data work with Minneapolis. We're working primarily with the academy right now. With Carl Craig coming in, obviously he's got some people that he's brought along as well, and so we've got a guy that kind of came in with him, and we've been working with him to kind of develop a just kind of like almost like a pathway,
Yeah.
kind of creating. Data and performance pathways from the future squads to the first team, and so thinking through that process, and starting specifically this year with the futures to kind of walk through our game plan, reevaluate what we did last year, kind of get it right again this year as the futures squad plays this spring, and then we'll see where the summer takes us. So yeah, I sure am
That's
right now.
cool.
Yeah.
Man, it's so awesome to see you doing so much. And um I don't know, man. All the content that you have, the thoughts that you have, the insight. I mean, it's so cool. So having you on the show tonight is just, it's really really awesome. And like I said in the tweet that I sent out, it's long overdue. All long overdue. We've been a big fan of yours for a long time. So thanks for stopping by and joining us.
I appreciate that. I'm a fan of y'all's too, so I'm glad I got to be here. I really love y'all's work, and y'all are I mean, a staple, for the league. So, um, I'm really glad to be here.
Thanks.
Thanks. We
Well,
appreciate that.
Yeah. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump into some of the week 3 action and get some of the
Sorry, I'll put
insights
it right back.
from the master himself. So we did have the first match on Saturday between Richmond and Charlotte. We kind of talked a little bit about Richmond. Uh, Huge attendance there.
Yeah,
Um,
that was crazy.
yeah,
Hold on a second.
and I love how even though everybody is over on the one side of the stadium, I mean, having everybody there on the same side, you get that a more cohesive, not only image of everybody in the stands, but their effort to cheer on the team and everything. It's not spread so thinly around the entire stadium. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, there's definitely a right way and a wrong way to do that, and Richmond's perfected it. I mean,
Yeah,
really, they've made the absolute best of a situation that could be bad, and
yeah,
just because you could be negative about a stadium, the way it is, just like not being able to use all of it, but like they crush it and they make
yeah,
that place loud. So
yeah. They
Mhm.
do.
it's cool.
Yeah. And Brian, was their attendance? Is that their maximum capacity at City Stadium?
I believe the 6,000 is max capacity, but listening to Yogi talk on the Richmond Kickers podcast, that everybody on that one seemed to think it was more than 6,000 people there. So that might be their official capacity, but they said even it was even bigger than what they saw last season at the end of the season.
Yeah,
So, and we knew from last season that they absolutely sold that place completely out for the last few games of the season. So,
yeah,
good on them, man. I mean, 6,000 people, that blows away their average from last season by like 2,500 people. So, sure, Richmond is one of those clubs that if they consistently get that number, they're going to be heads and tails above the whole rest of the league.
Hmm.
And I
easily.
mean,
Yeah,
being around as long as they have too, they have the fans and supporters that'll do it. So if the team gets kind of on another upward trajectory this season, you could really see them pulling out all the stops to make that happen.
It was
yep,
really cool to hear them talking about how it felt like they were like the fans feeling like they were turning a corner. Like that's just a really cool thing to hear, just from a fan perspective. Like that everything feels like it's kind of growing and almost nostalgic in a way where that club's been around for it's historic, been around for so long that now it feels like almost like the golden days, which is really
Mm-hmm.
cool to hear.
yeah.
And Richmond Fire Department, if you're listening, it was exactly 6,000 people. There wasn't an extra soul there.
Yeah.
That is uh, yeah.
Whatever the fire
The
marshal
fire chief
says,
said,
that's what it
Fire
"Yes,
was.
fire."
Marshal, 6,000 exactly, not an extra soul.
Nope.
I have a buddy who just moved to Richmond, and he moved there from, well, he was living here in Nebraska, but moved out to Richmond with his girlfriend. And I keep telling him, like, man, you got to check out the Kickers. And he's a big soccer fan too. And I keep teasing him so badly because of the fact that he's missing out on this awesome soccer team that is in your town. Like, he's only a 15-20 minute drive away from the stadium, and he could be going to these matches, and he's not going.
Mm,
So I'm gonna keep giving him shit until he goes.
yeah.
Have
You heard it here on the podcast. If you live in Richmond, we're going to drop his address.
to. Head on over, pick him up, take him to the stadium.
Send him letters. Give him tickets. Put tickets in his mailbox. There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
So even though they packed the stadium with 6,000 fans,
Exactly.
I I feel like, exactly, yeah. I feel like Richmond kind of started off a little slow in that match.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It feels like they've been starting slow. I mean, especially against Charlotte, but
Yep.
just the past 3 games in general. Felt like
Mhm.
they kind of started slow against Greenville too. They tried their switch out to the left side over and over and over again at the start of the game against Greenville. But yeah, it really felt like they've been slow the whole season.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the left side is where I would say their greatest strength is. I mean, the whole left side. I mean, you have Hornsby, Vinyals, and Belmar. I mean, that's a hell of a lineup, one right after another. So I can I can't blame them at all for trying to switch the ball over to the left side all day long.
Right. No, for sure. And for some reason, they're just not able to. I don't know if maybe it's predictable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Against Greenville, it was they were really trying to test Daniel Wu early. I remember sitting there watching that game. I was in the stadium just like, what the heck? They're like basically bullying this kid on his debut, like giving him all the work. And I mean, he handled it really well. Like, but it was just one of those things. And I feel like against Charlotte though, this week and the week before, they like didn't have the space to do that
Mhm.
hardly at all.
No, it was getting shut down so quickly, and I mean, it goes back to exactly what you said, Brandon. I mean, everybody in the league knows that that's where they're going to try to attack because that's where their greatest strengths are. So it's almost like playing the switch in baseball. I mean, somebody favors one side, you're going to move to that side to try to defend it. So Richmond's going to have to come up with some way to either disguise their stuff a little bit better or figure out how to make attacking through the middle or that right side at least part of their attack. They can't just make it all about coming down that left side and sending it upfield and hoping Drazagi's there somewhere. I mean,
Yeah.
but they've gotten away with it in the past too. So I mean, they don't necessarily have to go away from it. They just have to figure out how to make it work.
Well, when you had someone like Bolaños who was able to, carry the ball up the field and progress so well, like you didn't have to launch it long. You could launch it short, and he's just going to be automatically the best winger in the league who's going to carry the ball forward and get it into a dangerous spot so that
Yeah.
Matthew Bentley can be on the back post. But that's not going to happen with Belmar as
Yep.
much.
Mhm.
Man, Belmar is fun to watch.
He sure is.
Oof, man. I feel like the whole time I'm watching Richmond matches, I'm just like, where's Belmar? Where's Belmar?
And he's really good at drifting around. Like
Yeah.
I thought that was, he's definitely different than Bolaños, right? Like not at all the same type of player, but like almost in a way scarier because he just
Yeah.
pops up and you're just like, oh crap, like. I mean, that's a Greenville. He was like, "Oh crap!" Like,
Yep.
and same thing against Charlotte. I mean that cross into the box that was Belmore, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
was
was Belmar.
Belmore that crossed that ball into the box. I mean, that was crazy.
Yeah.
He just turns real quick, and I'm getting a little ahead of us, I think, but that was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, and Brian, you were mentioning how Richmond may have to design some sort of a bait and switch. Well,
Mhm.
Charlotte did that against Richmond because Dane Kelly, once again, the man you think would score the goal, actually provided the assist. And in the 13th minute, he provided the assist for Clay Dimmick.
That was a good run, though. I mean,
Yeah.
crazy good run from Clay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it. That's kind of the thing with Charlotte too, though. I mean, it all season so far, you would think that the top scorer is going to be the guy that they're going to point out, but the pieces that they brought in, what they did in scouting is kind of amazing because they have these guys that are playing so well off of each other so early in the season that any one of those front guys can score and can score quickly. So, um, obviously, I mean, you bring in somebody like Dane Kelly, people are going to key on that. So I wonder if that's more of doing that, keying on Dane Kelly, and then these other guys are just able to get the ball into dangerous positions and put it away.
Yeah. He has that sort of gravity to pull players out of position and allowing others to exploit that space.
Because he's earned
I mean,
it. I mean,
yeah. Yeah. With a player like Dane Kelly, you can't give him space. And if you try to play zone on him, he's going to hurt you. If you play man to man, one of his teammates is going to hurt you. So, yeah, it's a win-win for Charlotte, but it's a lose-lose for the opposition.
Yeah, it's they're they're one of those teams where before the season I was like, I could see them again doing the same thing. They score 100 goals and concede 95. You know what I mean? Like
mhm.
Yeah.
or 99 even. But
Yeah,
like, oh my goodness, so far it is just like you're saying. Like they have so early in the season, they have looked so well drilled. It is I mean, it's miles better than last season defensively. Just as a group, they look better defensively. Forget like individual players, but just like defending together. They're so much more compact and structured. Um, I- Spielman's been crazy too. I mean,
Yeah,
that's another one of those where you see how often really talent, and not to say that Nice is a worse league or anything like that, but how many players fall through the cracks,
yeah,
right? Like that he was playing in Nisa, and I think we're going to see a lot more Nisa players coming to League One just because of the whole pay structure thing.
yeah.
Um, Not that it's a worse league or anything like that, but it's just like they're really talented players who many people just don't know about. No one, I don't think very many people from Charlotte knew who Nick Spielman was before 3 weeks ago. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And he looks like one of the most solid defenders in the league right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think he's going to be one to keep an eye on for sure. I don't know that it's going to be Jake Dangler levels of like defensive prowess, but I think he's going to be another one of those players where like, dang, Nice is a lot better than we thought.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at Chattanooga. I mean, they have so many NISA players, and there were so many questions about Chattanooga coming in. I mean, you have a NISA coach, you have a bunch of NISA players coming in. I mean, for people who are familiar with lower league soccer but may not be watching NISA, it's a huge surprise to see all these players and even the coach coming in and playing the way that they are. You're looking at Chattanooga thinking, "Oh, this could be interesting this season."
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think just because it's something we just haven't recognized or noticed, um, it's easy to dismiss it. But
Yeah.
when you actually see them playing, it's easy to dismiss it, especially because there's so many jokes about Nisa
Hmm.
from Nisa people, but you don't realize they're making those jokes not because of it's in spite of the level of play, right? Like
Yeah.
it's the organizational checks or
Mhm.
Exactly. It's about the organization. It's about the administration, not because of the on field, um, you know,
Product.
production that
Mhm.
and everything that's happening out there. I mean, those players are man, they're showing up.
Mhm.
Mhm. Indeed.
Well, after that 13th minute goal for Charlotte, we did have a response from Richmond in the 25th minute when Owen Gordon scored off an assist from Carlton Belmar. There he is, Belmar getting into it. Um, yeah, it was a great end swinger into the box that he was able to finish. Just a great goal.
Mhm.
Mhm. It kinda made me mad. I was like, they gave him a little too much space
Yeah,
I mean, like, my guy was squatting. My guy was squatting in the box.
yeah,
Yep.
Like,
yeah,
it made me a little mad. I was like, you've been so good defensively, and then you got Owen Gordon squatting down 3 feet tall in the box right now, and he scored a header.
Mhm.
yeah. Yep. Owen Gordon is not one of those guys that you look at him like, okay, yeah, we'll give you space. That's not what you
No.
do to him.
No. Oh, no, I texted Gio, like, immediately. It was like, that goal I'm like, I'm not even a Charlotte fan, and I was just like, "That goal made me mad." Like, that goal made me so mad.
Speaking of
No,
Geo, we got Geo putting some comments in the chat here, calling you the new FIFA king.
it's
Love
true.
that. We need to get you one of those big. You know how like college football they have like the big thick like gold chains.
Yes.
We
I
need to
get
get one
a
of those for you. Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
ring.
show off the LSU trash talk. Do a little bit of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine doing that after winning a FIFA tournament. Jeez. If I
That would
win
be too
if we
good.
have a super cup and I win, I'll do it. And the thing is I definitely wouldn't win that, so I don't have to worry about that.
Gio also says it's Ted Lasso time with the wife, but I love you guys, and the sequels are better than the prequels. And
Dude,
the Last Jedi is the definition of cinema that only the Barbie movie can compare.
I'm so happy I
Mm,
came back in right on that. That's perfect.
yeah,
No comment. No comment.
Yeah, no comment.
I was at work today, and my phone was like constantly like buzzing in my chest because I had it in my pocket. And when I finally went to break and I looked at my phone, it was just Twitter of
Oh my
Brian,
goodness.
you and
Pink
Gio going back and forth
notifications.
about Star
Yeah.
Wars.
It's like, holy moly.
I was on break, dude. You know? got a little extra longer breaks. We were pulling wires in today, so had a little extra time.
Well, once I had my time, I saw it too. Oh man.
And then
Oh, we
Tom-
got Tomas in
Tomas
here.
Steuben coming in. Hello, guys,
Oh,
listening
what up,
from
man?
Argentina. And Brandon, he likes your shirt as well.
That's right. Oh, wait, here we go. I forgot it's backwards. Moss is Arsenal through and through too.
So is my
Tomas, it's
brother.
good to hear from you, man.
It's the only way to be, Brian. It's the only way to be.
Mm,
I didn't say that last season. I was often crying.
yeah,
This year, I'm going to be confident.
yeah. The roles are reversed a little bit this season. So,
And to think they were close to letting him go.
Right. That was the craziest part. Like you could tell there were things that were brewing, but it was just really slow. And it looked like they were going to let Mikel go for a hot minute, but
Mhm.
it looked like it. It sounds like they never thought about it, but from the
Yeah.
outside, it looked like it.
Yeah.
But no,
yeah.
I'm really glad they didn't.
We got Zach joining us too. Zach, how's it going, man?
We're global now, according to Zach. So perfect.
That's cool.
And then, so we were just talking about Spielman. He was actually the goal scorer for for Charlotte's second goal, assisted by Miguel Ibarra. Man, Miguel Ibarra. I'm a big fan of this guy.
Mhm.
I was a big fan of him last season,
Oh
and
yeah, great
he's
player.
just, yeah, he's just carrying that momentum again this season.
Mm-hmm.
Good player.
Yeah. I mean, that's the crazy thing about Charlotte. You look at them and you're like, how the heck do they have all these players? Like,
Yeah.
it's just incredible. They're ridiculously stacked.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, in just about every department.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, just even in this match too, they just looked like the overall complete better team. They looked way more composed. They looked way more confident playing out of the back. They looked way more confident on the ball, and their passes were just crisper. And I don't know, man. This Richmond Kickers team right now does not look like the team that played last season. Obviously,
No.
losing the pieces that they did is a huge thing, but there are some guys that were still on the squad last season that are still there, but it's not, for some reason, not clicking with them right now.
Yeah.
it's still early. But no, I think you're definitely right. I think they're going to have to make some changes. I mean, it doesn't, at this point, it doesn't seem like it's you know, some of it is rust maybe,
Mhm.
but there is a lot of it too where they're doing a lot of the same things they were doing last year, and it's just I think a lot of it, you're right, there isn't crisp enough. I mean, they were really incisive last year, and they have not been
Yeah.
a lot less so, and that's part of it. But they're definitely gonna have to try something different.
And if you thought that Richmond started the match slow, they finished the match even slower. I mean, their productivity in the second half was
Like
slim to
hours,
none in the second half.
Mhm.
yeah. No, and
Maybe it
that
was
seems to be
the
the story.
lightning delay that got him.
Yeah, the 2 hours of no productivity.
Yeah, exactly.
Just come back for the last 10 minutes. Just nobody wants to be there at that point. Just match has already been over for 2 hours in their books. So
That's the worst part about those delays is having to deal with that last 15 minutes of game
mhm.
time where your legs
Yeah.
are already exhausted and you've been sitting still for 2 hours. And I can't imagine after all that in the rain.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think I saw that Yogi went home. I think I saw that Alex went home. And so then you go home and you're watching and you're just like, why did I stay up to watch the rest of this?
Well,
I mean, it was fine watching on TV. All the other matches got over, and then as soon as all
Yeah.
the other matches were over, I just clicked on over. I think 2-3 minutes later, that match finished. So
Yeah.
it was fine.
yeah.
And Brian, you were trying to, what was it this one that you were telling somebody about? Well, they've already got the result in hand because
Mhm.
they've already,
Yeah, they passed that threshold, which I think
yeah,
I don't remember what it was, like 70 something minutes, and it's considered a full match. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think it was the Charlotte supporters group was saying, "Oh, don't try to take our win away." It's like, no, you guys are already past. You're fine. Like we
Yeah.
went through it last year with the Union Omaha and Madison. I think yeah,
Mhm.
ours was like 63 minutes in. It was like a couple minutes short of a full match, technically a full match. So
Yeah.
Huh.
That was a crazy storm too.
yeah,
I don't remember.
it just monsooning, just out of nowhere. Lightning hit, and then as soon as I started clearing the stadium, it started monsooning down.
Oh, jeez.
So
I stayed in the stadium too. Um, that was the most ridiculous part. My friends and I stayed probably for another hour, hour and a half,
Oh,
mhm,
man.
and we were just hanging out beside or behind one of the concession booths,
Mhm.
and we were underneath one of the awnings. So I mean, we were dry, except for when the rain was going sideways. That's when we were
yeah,
really getting it. But
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, we
Nope.
were having fun. It was a fun night nonetheless.
Mhm. I went and hid and drank in the Jack Daniels Club. So
Oh, you were one of those lucky bastards.
yeah,
Man, I saw them. So I saw people trying to run in and they were like pushing people out because
hmm
people were trying to get in.
yep.
Oh, you were one of them,
hmm
One of them.
man.
Well, it's because I always stop because I get if you have your season ticket, like if you're a season ticket holder, you can go into the Jack Daniels Club. So I just every time we walk into the stadium, we just stop by there in case we want to go at halftime and want to wait in that beer line, which is like 2 or 3 minutes as opposed to outside everywhere else. So we just get our wristbands right away, and then if we ever need to go in there, we can.
I didn't know that. I thought you had to, I thought it was additional price to get into the lounge.
No, it's only the like midline season ticket holders. So I think we're like in our 105 is you can get it. So I think you probably have it too, Rich. You can probably stop in and get one too.
Well, son of a bitch.
Write that
Learn something new every day.
down. No more beer lines.
No more
Yeah.
beer lines.
Yeah, if anybody else heard that in that section, that's not true about you. It's just true about Rich. So don't take it.
Yeah.
All right. And oh, so one of the things that I noticed about this match between Richmond and Charlotte is how accurate the passing was. A lot of the time when you look at some of the other matches in League One, the passing accuracy is probably in the 70s somewhere. But for this one, it seemed like across the board, players were in the 80s. And so there was some clean soccer happening.
Mhm.
It was just the final third that was lacking in some regards.
Well, and that's the thing about I'm really quite positive that I undershot Charlotte on my preseason predictions. Like,
Oh, everybody did.
yeah. Well, and it's just because defense. That's the only
hmm
reason, right? Like no one thought they weren't going to score a bunch of goals. Um, but like they are just so clean on the ball in every area, and even their backups. I mean, uh, Alvarez, while he is wildly inefficient, like he is one of the most fun players to watch trying to get on the ball and carrying the ball forward. He's played like 20 minutes a game or something like that,
Yeah.
and those 20 minutes a game are like some of the most fun 20 minutes of a Charlotte game. Just he's wildly talented, and I think that it's going to be really crazy to see Charlotte just in general with how good they are technically and how incisive they're going to be all season long. I mean, when you can when you can be as direct as they were, against Richmond, forcing them to have the ball and then be direct in the we'll call it the counterattack. I mean, that's incredible in its own right. Forcing Richmond to have the ball is one of the hardest things to do, right?
Yeah.
And but they did an excellent job of it. But they were still really technical moving forward. Didn't
Yeah.
misplace hardly a thing.
And speaking of Charlotte's defense, like a member of the defense that is going to be probably underrated for the entire season. Austin Pack, their goalkeeper. I have a feeling this guy is going to be putting up some numbers this season.
Yeah, he's relatively. I wouldn't say unknown. That's probably not fair to him, but one of the younger goalkeepers, I think, in the league
Yeah,
outside of
he's got a bright future.
all of Greenville's goalkeepers. Um,
Yeah.
Probably the only ones that have played less realistically. Um, oh no, Madison's. Um, Madison's goalkeeper hasn't. He's fresh out of college, I think. I thought
Yeah.
not.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, he's looked really solid.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you heard his press conference. It's a couple weeks ago, maybe. Hearing him talk about that first game against Richmond, just like the mentality he has is really cool too. It was just making sure he gets off to a solid start and trying to carry that on. It was really, I mean, it was a really short press conference, but it was really cool to hear him talk about the mentality he was trying to have in those games, in those high pressure situations. So
Yeah,
Cool.
solid.
Well, Brian, do you want to go through the 3 stars?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, the first 1 star. So again, top scorer, outstanding goalkeeper. um, oh, this one's kind of it's a little tough. I'm gonna go with Clay Dimmick. Um, 90 minutes, a goal, 3 passes into the final third, 3 clearances, and 5 recoveries. But it's a left back that scores a goal. I mean, that should get you some recognition.
mhm.
Doesn't happen that often. So, um, and then it's a highly influential player as our 2 star. Ooh, man, that's what I hate doing this live because it's so
Yeah.
hard to actually narrow it down, especially with the guys that are on here. Um, I'm gonna go with Carlton Belmar for Richmond. 69 minutes, 1 assist, 81% passing, 2 chances created, and 3 recoveries, and just kind of all over the field, and just one of the shining spots in an overall lacking Richmond performance. And the last player worthy of recognition, our 3 star player, I got to go with Hoberton. 81 minutes, 4 chances created, 7 passes into the final third, 3 of 3 on tackles, and had only had the ball dispossessed 1 time and earned 3 fouls. But that sneaky kind of stat is that 7 passes into the final third.
Yeah.
Um, being a forward player and playing the ball into where it needs to be to get goals, I mean, you can't ask for anything more.
No doubt. I'll just be
And
honest. I would say the exact same thing. 1, 2, and 3.
and Overton wasn't even on the team of the week. That's a surprising one.
Mm,
I
Weird.
mean, he's not getting the respect he deserves in the league.
Definitely weird.
Yeah.
I do think at this point, though, some of it does have to do with the fact that this is kind of a normal performance.
yeah.
Like this is the usual for him. Like
Mhm.
this is business as usual. He's one of those players who, like, you look at him and you're like, this guy like races the level of the rest of the team.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
and so, I mean, while yeah, he probably should have made team of the week. It's almost like this is what do you expect from him at this point? Like this is
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
This is about normal. Um, anything less than this would probably be a bad game
Yeah.
Yeah.
for Overton, especially this season so far. So
Mhm.
um, no, he's been so good, and yeah, no, he raises the level of that team for sure. You think about Dan Kelly doing that, but I think if anybody's going to do that this season, it's going to be Overton.
Mhm.
Yep. And
Yeah.
then I threw out some generic questions for you guys. So for Richmond, they've only scored 2 goals in 3 matches. And in the outline, I threw out their next 5 matches. Which one do you think is going to be the catalyst that's going to kickstart their goal scoring?
And I mean, just for reference for everybody at home too, it's their next 5 is at home versus Noco. They have a bye week. Then they're at Tormenta, at home versus Omaha, then at Greenville, and then at NCFC. That's that's not a easy schedule by any stretch. Um, especially like even this next match they have coming up against Northern Colorado. I mean, after this week, I mean, who knows what they're going to be coming into it? I don't think anybody thought that was going to happen. And then, I mean, for me, based on recent performance, I mean, granted, we haven't seen really any of Omaha, um, and everything like that, but Tormenta, I think, is going to have to be their kind of get right game, especially with the slide that they've been in.
Yeah.
But I mean, they got to figure it out quick because there's not. Granted, we're only 3 weeks into the season, but I mean, you cannot keep dropping points over and over while you're trying to figure it out. You got to find a way to at least get a draw.
Mhm. I do think this NoCo game will be interesting just because it already seems like they've got some injuries at NoCo, and both offensively and defensively.
Yeah.
Can't hear Brandon right now.
Brandon, did you mute yourself?
Brandon might have muted himself. Oh,
Gotta love that. While he's looking at that, we got a bunch of comments over on the YouTube stream. Um, we got Connor and Zach talking about some of the smoke and pyro. Connor said during that rainstorm on the night of the Madison match, he stayed the entire time. He walked back to the office behind Werner Park with Peter, the GM of the club, to get out of the rain. And he says that Peter said something along the lines of, "I'm going to have to sleep here tonight." Yeah, I don't, yeah, I believe that
probably.
wholeheartedly. Alex Ashton says Overton was a beast. Yeah, he was a beast. He is a
Mhm.
beast week in, week out.
Yeah.
Dude is awesome. So much fun to watch.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And then Tomas says Omar Sis is a great player. He's 21 years old, but during the game he looks like he's 31 or he's 30. Very intelligent.
Mhm.
Totally true. Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. I have a little wireless headphone that I was messing with, and I didn't realize when I
Oh.
tapped it, it connected to my computer.
Nice.
Uh, like, what's going on? Everything got so quiet all of a sudden because it was coming through that little tiny headphone. Oh
Nice.
me, I don't even know what I was saying anymore. But
And
yeah,
then the generic question I threw out for you guys for Charlotte, um, basically they've won 2 out of their 3 first matches. Can they keep the momentum?
I mean, can they keep the momentum with the guys that they have? Yeah, I mean they can. Um, I think for me personally, I'm only going to start buying into Charlotte when I see them their defense play to this level that they did in this match week in and week out. Because there were swaths of last season too where they looked really good, but then the next few weeks after that, their form would drop back off and then it would pick back up. So until I can see Charlotte be consistent, I don't know what to make of them, so I don't know if they're going to be able to keep the momentum. They should be able to in theory, but
Yeah.
with this league you just never know.
And if you look at their next 5, they have some defensive matchups coming up. So
Mhm.
we'll be able to see that.
I think it'll be really interesting to see if people can kind of pull them out a little more. I think that'll be the big thing because right now, Tormenta had the majority of the possession and a red card. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in that game, they had the majority of the possession. Um, they've done a really good job of letting others like just being compact and tight and just being incisive in the counter. And I think the key is can they adapt when that doesn't come off? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Which I think they can. Obviously, they have the players to do it, but
And I mean, they're kind of just following the model that was put forward by all these other teams that have won the league the past few years. I mean, that's exactly what Greenville does. That's exactly what Omaha did. That's exactly what Tormenta did last season. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good model to follow. It's just you have to be able to trust your defense, and I just don't know if I can trust Charlotte's defense enough to do that.
yep, we'll see. That'll be the kicker. Is it?
That's the $1 million question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can they keep it? Can they keep it going in the long run?
Yeah.
Because right now they look unstoppable.
All right, let's move on to the next match. I know this one's going to be near and dear to Brandon's heart because he's writing some quality stuff about them. He's going to release some of that content. We don't want you to give away everything that you're going to be throwing into that content, but we can discuss it a little bit.
Hmm.
This is going to be North Carolina versus Lexington. Uh, how does that attendance match up to their previous attendance?
So their attendance is 1,423 for that match, and their average is 1,900 roughly, so a little bit under.
Okay, yeah,
Um, but in the
but that could
ballpark.
be spring break too, right? Because Cary, North
Mhm,
Carolina has some college population there too, don't they?
It's just outside Raleigh,
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I
so
think I heard there's a big concert there too, like a festival.
Oh,
that'll do it too.
Yeah.
all those T Swift fans.
I'm sure there's a big crossover.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gotta be.
NCSC and Sweet Tea Swift for sure.
Yep.
Well, Brian, I know that you mentioned this in I think you were chatting with um Tyler on Twitter when you were talking about Lexington looking like the better club for most of the match.
Mhm.
5 minutes in, they got their first goal.
Yep.
Khalid Balogun got his goal assisted by Tate Robertson right there in the middle of the box, too.
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean that was just the run that was created by that too. I mean it. That's exactly what I was talking about when I was talking to him about it. Just them looking better. It's those points with Lexington. They have those parts where they look really good and really composed. It's just they can't put those back to back to back to back. It seems like they'll do that for 10 minutes or so, and then their form will drop. And then they'll pick back up and play at a really high level again. But then it'll drop even lower than it did the first time. And they're a really frustrating team to watch because you can see that the pieces are there and that they know what they're doing. It's just putting it together, which again, we're so early in the season that could be the biggest part of it is they just haven't had time to gel, but uh, it's very frustrating to watch Lexington and know that they are better than they are playing.
Well, and I think that's the cool thing about them too, though, is it's like everybody was like, oh, Lexington's got a bunch of unknown players,
Mhm.
coming in. Most of them never played in the league, and the players they do have in the league, and you got Don Smart and Kalen Fox, and you're just like, I don't know. You watch them play, and they're tough.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, Tate Robertson. Oh my gosh, that's another NISA player who you're like, that guy can ball.
Yeah.
That guy can ball, and he can play anywhere. I mean, center mid, right back, right mid. I he's gonna be one of those players again, or you look back and like that, he's gonna be a key player. And so, um, yeah, and then obviously, beautiful goal by Balogun.
Oh yeah.
Perfectly timed run. You can't get any
Mhm.
better. It's one of those things where you look at Lexington and like you're saying, that at some point this season they're probably going to outdo everything that we thought they were going to do. And I think it's going to be, again, it's going to be good for League One. It's going to be good for NISA as well. I think just to showcase again even more talent that's out there, that people have been doubting.
Mhm.
Yeah. And less than 10 minutes later, Lexington suffered a own goal from Owen Green. And when you look at Tyler's Twitter, I think he said something very concise. It was just unfortunate own goal from Lexington or something like that. You could just the heartbreak was just oozing from those just few handful of words in his tweet.
So
Mhm.
much so much pain.
But I mean, that's exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about Lexington. I mean, that first goal, like you said, Brandon, beautiful run, beautifully timed run, and beautiful assist. Just really great soccer. And then not even 10 minutes later, you give up an own goal because your guy has his knee turned the wrong way. Like, just infuriating things that just it messes with you so badly when you're watching those matches. It's just self-induced wounds that you just hate seeing because you never want stuff like that to happen based on a team doing it to themselves. You want to have the better team win every time, and it's just painful.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yep.
even like 2 minutes ago, 2 minutes before that own goal, Kalen Fox has the save of the season. I mean,
Yeah.
Yes.
so it's like it gets even worse because you see like the absolute highest highs from this team, and you're like, oh my gosh, like again, this team is so much better than we thought.
Mhm.
And then it's just it has to just be early on jitters. I mean, just because they look like you were saying, they look so good at some points. They look
Mhm.
so good against Knoxville at some points. And you're just like, oh my gosh, like this game's going to be really tight really quickly. And then, you know, everything falls apart.
Mhm.
Yep. And that actually leads perfectly into a question from Alex Ashton on the YouTube live stream. He says Lexington turns the league into pure chaos by June or July. Is that a good expectation?
Is that a question of June or July? Because yes, they will turn it into chaos at some point. Um, yeah, I think so. I think Lexington, once they kind of figure it out completely, they're going to be one of those teams that are going to be pushing for a playoff spot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the bottom of the table is only going to be a few points away from a playoff position this year anyway. This is probably going to be one of the tighter tables that we've ever seen.
Oh,
Um,
100%.
Which it's hilarious to think about that because literally I remember last year, up until like 3 weeks before the end of the season, people were like, oh yeah, North Carolina can make the playoffs.
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
They were dead last.
I mean, just think about that too. It's gonna be every single week is gonna matter, so it's gonna make every week that much more interesting because even the people that are challenging for the wooden spoon are gonna be within 4 or 5 points of number 6.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it's good for the league though because you're bringing in all these players, and the closer you can get the table, the better off the league is gonna be.
Yeah. Yeah. League One is such an underrated league. People would, if people actually watched League One, they would have a whole new appreciation for soccer, like lower division soccer. Doesn't matter if you're a soccer fan. Tune in into League One. Oh man, it's just so much fun to watch.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And Tomas in the comments, going back to North Carolina, he says it seems that this year's North Carolina is prepared to be one of the protagonists in the league. Yeah, I could see that happening.
Mhm.
And then he also says, and with respect to Lexington, I feel that the team has good material, but needs to work on certain game situations. It's difficult when a player, when it's a totally new team. Balogun is an interesting player. There's a lot of good insight there. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that goes back to exactly what you two were just saying. In certain game situations, they need to kind of clean things up. And once those the teeth of the gear, start to fit together and really start working together, oh man, they're gonna click and things are just gonna start taking off for that team.
Mhm.
I think you hear Stockley talk. Like I don't know if y'all heard the interviews, but preseason, there's so much clarity around what he wants to do, and you just know that when it does click, it's gonna be like smooth as butter. I
Yeah.
mean, like like butter, like hot knife through butter. It's just gonna be crazy,
Yeah.
and it's just a matter of getting there. It's a matter of like the muscle was saying, cleaning up. Some they're just key game situations, staying calm. Um, really just believing that you can pull out those wins,
Yep.
um, and not getting too desperate and inflicting wounds on yourself like that. So, um, I think that's the key is they get desperate. They're like, oh, I gotta save the match, and it's
Hmm.
like they end up something happens. You know what I mean? Like they
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
yeah causing their own problems, and
Yep.
yeah.
And in both of the league's power rankings and our power rankings, Lexington is toward the bottom, but there's a full recognition that, like we've been saying here the past few minutes, they're going to be sneaky good. And once things get going, they're going to shoot up those rankings. They're going to climb the actual league standings, and they're going to impress a lot of people.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So, there was also the match winner from Rafa Menzingen in the 73rd minute, assisted by Olex Anderson. Man, Olex Anderson, dude. Rafa Menzingen. I mean, just that duo right there.
Hmm.
Jeez. Just crazy.
Yeah. And I think that it's so interesting because Olex Anderson, like, if you can convince him to shoot, he's like such a high volume shooter. And I think last season he shot 49 times and 10 of them were on target. Like, if you can convince him to shoot, then you have a much better chance. And this is no offense to Olex at all, but like, he, he will take a shot anywhere. And getting him in a position where he feels like he can shoot, I think it honestly almost increases your chances of North Carolina scoring. What's
Yeah.
so dangerous about Olex is that he's just such a tricky player that when he realizes he doesn't have something, I think he's better. I think he's so much better when he doesn't have an opportunity to get a shot off.
Yeah.
I mean, you see that like just that run into the channel. There's no chance that he's going to take a shot there. He lays it off to Rafa, and Rafa just bangs it home.
Yeah.
Yep.
Does what Rafa does.
Yeah, yeah.
And just like you were saying, I think you were talking about Owen Gordon earlier, and you were saying that how he just sort of pops up somewhere. That's the same way with Olex Anderson. I mean, they may slot him in at a certain position, but he just has total freedom of the entire field, and he just goes for it.
Hmm.
Mhm.
He's a
If
very
you had told me
heady player.
last, what's that?
He's a very heady player, so he probably
Yeah,
gets that by being as smart as he is. They probably let him do that because they know he's going to put himself in a good position and doesn't really need anybody to tell him what position he has to be in.
Yeah.
yeah,
And he knows he can beat just about anybody too.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
that helps.
If you had told me last season that Olex Anderson and Rafa were going to be playing together, I'd have said, "Shut up! No, it's not. They're not going to
Hmm.
play together." But now that they are, like, holy crap! I can't believe this is happening. But man, I don't want to take my eyes away because this is just too much fun to watch.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, I was talking to Bradford earlier this year, and it's like, how do you go from like I mean, literally think about it. You've got Rafa Mensingen, Shaq Adams, Olex Anderson, Jaden Cervania.
Yeah,
Like those are your wingers. Louis Perez. I mean, like those are the players you have who are your technical attacking players, and that's not even everybody.
Hmm.
no,
I mean, you got Nicholas Rincon.
you got
It's
Maldonado.
stupid. It's It's incredible. I mean, you just look at that roster and you're just like on so many levels, no way. Like, there's no way this is real.
Hmm.
And we haven't even mentioned their actual goals, like their biggest goal scorer, Garrett McLaughlin. I mean, even though he's not a winger, I mean he's a huge contributor to the team as well.
Hmm.
So I mean, we're just going club by club, like, holy crap, how is this happening?
Hmm. Yeah.
We got another good comment from Alex Ashton saying Lexington has more goals than Red Wolves. True, yeah, they're definitely not awful. Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know if there's a team in the league right now that's awful. I mean,
no,
there's teams that we're uncertain about for sure.
yeah,
Um, and I think at least when I'm doing my power rankings and looking at it, that's the teams that I'm unsure about are always at the bottom because
yeah.
who knows? I can't slot them above somebody unless they beat them. So um, too many unknowns.
Hmm.
I don't want to get further into the season because I don't want the season to end any quicker than it's already going to. Because I feel like I'm sitting here now and I feel like it's gonna feel like a week from now, and it's gonna be like the last week of the season.
Yep.
But a lot of season left to go for sure.
Oh yeah.
And so one thing I did want to like kind of mention too, just especially with this match, Lexington in their past couple of matches, that is a super chippy physical team.
Yeah.
Like they are not afraid to get into those situations where um, they're kind of messing with the mental, I think, of some of these players, especially the younger players or first time pros, because they are super physical and it doesn't seem like they care about card accumulation. They don't care about anything, how many fouls they get, and they just really want to attack the ball, which I think is going to eventually work out in their favor, if not maybe come back to bite them a little bit further into the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, being able to get that under control will be key. I mean, Dlamini, that guy. I mean, ball winner, ball progressor. I mean, yeah, he got a yellow card, I guess, the first week because he was full on, like full throttle against
Mm-hmm.
Knoxville. I remember
Yeah.
a little less so this past week, which probably for the best. But I mean, he looks like a really talented player as well. That's just gonna but that's one of those things where it's like first game I got that idea of like he's one of those players who's gonna have a hard time with yellow card accumulation. He did a really good job, I guess, against North Carolina. So was
Mm-hmm.
physical but restrained,
Yeah.
and was all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And man, I apologize to Brian. I didn't put in the candidates for the 3 stars here.
No, that's good. I I think I can probably throw it out. I just won't be able to throw any stats out, but
Yeah.
there's people in my mind that I have. Um, so for the goal scorers, I'm actually going to go with Rafa Menzigen for my 1 star. The dude's been a proven scorer the past 2 years, even though with Chattanooga he wasn't always starting either. Kind of coming in as a super sub, so it's kind of interesting to see what he's doing with North Carolina this season. So my 2 star, a highly influential player in my mind, and it's a dude that I'm gonna be beating the drum on. I did last year, and I'm still going to. Kalen Fox. I mean that dude was just in a bad situation last year. A really good player on a not very good Tucson team.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting. I mean that clearance off the line, I thought at the time saved them a point because it was a wide open goal. The keeper had come out and fallen over and cleared the ball off the line as it was going in. So big credit to him. It's going to be interesting to watch him again this season. And then the last player worthy of recognition, just Tate Robinson for that perfectly led pass, and that for that first goal for Lexington. I mean, you can't really put it out any better than that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I like that 3. That's a good trio. I like it.
Yeah,
And Brandon, are we getting close to your bedtime?
We've hit my bedtime for sure. Surprisingly, my son hasn't woken up yet, so I can
Do
hang
we need to
until
say goodbye then?
it might be about time for me to head to bed. I got to be up early in the morning, so
Okay.
get that. Yeah.
yeah, no, I appreciate y'all having me.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely,
thank you for
man. We
coming
really
on.
appreciate you joining.
Yeah, for sure. All right, y'all. Y'all have fun talking about the rest of the week, and I'll talk to y'all soon.
All
Thanks. See
right.
you, bro.
Thanks, Brandon.
See you, Brandon. All right. So if you are not following any of his accounts, you can follow his, I think his Brandon Mays 18 on Twitter,
Mhm.
League One Review. Follow his content. He also shows up regularly on the Walk in 90 podcast. I think he shows up from time to time on USL show. So
Yep.
guy is very busy. Definitely knows his stuff.
Oh, yeah.
as you can tell from his time on the show tonight, he's a great person. So we were lucky to have him on the show. That was cool.
Hmm. I completely agree. Um, he's one of those staple guys. I know he said that we were staple guys, but in my mind, when I think of like League One personalities, Brandon's pretty high on that list. So
Oh yeah, yeah,
um,
easily.
yeah, it was awesome to get him on and kind of get his insight. It does suck. East Coast problems, like Alex says in the in the chat. So yeah, East Coast problems, but I do get the having to wake up early and everything. That sucks.
Yeah,
So
I have the day off tomorrow, so I don't mind staying up late tonight. I know you have to get up early in the morning, so I'll be respectful of that though.
that's all good.
So the next match was Chattanooga versus Central Valley Fuego, and man, this one I was excited for this one.
Yeah. This is actually the one match this week that I did not get a chance to watch like the full thing. So I've had to settle with like highlights and then um doing like a two times watch through while I was doing something else. So um I mean there's a bit there. It's definitely a not the match I thought I was gonna see from these two sides.
Yeah, it was another defensive battle.
Hmm.
Um, a big defensive battle. I mean, obviously with the scoreline of Chattanooga 0, Central Valley Fuego 1. I mean, it's a low scoring affair, but I mean, looking at some of their stats and everything, yeah, I mean, it was just, man, they were fighting hard the entire game, and I feel like we're starting to see a trend with this year's Chattanooga that this is the way that they're going to play, and you better prepare when you go to the Den to have like a one goal game against them,
Hmm.
especially going to the Den. I mean, they're just, man, they're going to be a tough team to play this season.
Yeah, I mean those supporters are fucking nuts, man. Like they make
Yeah,
a ton of noise and credit to them too because that stadium I know the attendance that we have listed here is 2500 um, roughly. I think 2512 is what we have and that's a little bit over what they average, but it always looks a little bit more full than that.
yeah.
I don't know if that's by stadium design or what, but it's always seems like there's more people there and they do make quite a bit of noise.
It also seems like they're sitting like right on top of the field too.
Yeah, that stadium was built really well.
Yeah,
Um, with and it seems like it was built with the fan in mind because yeah, they sit super close like you said and the seats aren't like it only looks like there's maybe 10 rows in each of those sections. So you're sitting close to the stadium no matter if you're in the first row or the last row.
yeah.
So um, it's really cool. It probably doesn't trap sound too much, but those guys make quite a bit of noise, at least from what we can see on the feed. So
Yeah. So a little bit of off topic here. I was chatting with Kaylor Hodges. He does some of the media work with Birmingham Legend or Legion with the championship club. And I was asking him if he's going to be traveling up to Chattanooga for the Open Cup match tomorrow night. And he said, lo and behold, he's going to be in Chattanooga. So he's going to
nice.
have some he's going to have some field level footage from the match. I think he's going to try to get some interviews in and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be very cool to see what he can bring to the mix because some of the stuff that he does down there at Birmingham Legion is pretty cool.
Hmm. Yeah, it is. If you guys haven't seen it, definitely go and check it out because it is really cool.
And so to have his footage field level, you'll have that perspective of how close the fans truly are, how loud the fans truly are. That's going to be very cool stuff to watch and hear. So I'm looking forward to some of that footage. If you aren't
Hmm.
following Taylor, be sure to do that because he has some cool stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, and
Um, Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, just talking to your point about it being such a defensive battle, and it took until the 63rd minute for them to score.
Yeah.
So I mean that obviously just goes to show how crazy it was. Um, oh boy, you're gonna have to help me out with the pronunciation, Rich.
For the goal scorer.
Yes.
Oh, Ronald Cerritos.
Oh, Cerritos. There you go. Okay. I get in 3 names. I have 4 names here on the one that I'm looking at, so
Oh, okay.
didn't know exactly which one he went by. So there we go. But yeah, an unassisted run. God, I'm trying to remember. Was it just him pushing the ball forward and then being able to take a shot? I don't remember.
Yeah, he separated himself and then he was able to put the ball in the back of the net. It was a good goal. And his first one with the club. I think it was his first appearance with Fuego too.
Oh wow! All right,
Yeah.
just so if this ad would end, I can watch it really quick and give you guys a live reaction. I guess. 5 seconds. Shot, shot, save, booking. And there's the goal. Okay. Oh, yeah, just a great run. Ooh, top bin that finish, too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Wow.
I think that one was up for goal of the week too.
Oh, it should have been because that run, he started about the halfway, about the mid pitch mark and ran it the entire way. Split about 4 defenders on his way in. So
Yeah.
all credit there. That was great. Um,
Um, from a statistical look, I mean these two teams were nearly identical.
mm-hmm.
And I
It's
think
a,
you saw the same thing when Chattanooga played Northern Colorado. So man, when you go to the Den, it's going to be a dogfight.
yeah, a crazy defensive battle, and it seems kind of like that's kind of what Chattanooga's going to try to hang their hat on this season. Is kind of the model of if you get enough draws, you're going to get in
Yeah.
to the playoff, and then once you hit the playoffs, they know as well as anybody. Once you hit the playoffs, anything can happen.
Yeah.
Just look at them making the final last season
Hmm.
for proof of that. So, um, but yeah, crazy that these teams were so evenly matched, and it's what they're both teams that we don't know that much about,
Yeah.
whether it be who the players are with Central Valley until very recently, or Chattanooga. It's also who the players are, but at least those players and the coach have been in the system for a little bit, just in a different league.
And it looked like Chattanooga had a little bit lower offensive production in the second half. Um, but
Yep.
Fuego certainly took advantage of that when they were able to score that goal.
Yeah, I mean that's just because you can tell these teams were so evenly matched that it took a great run to break a deadlock. Because I mean, there was both both keepers are obviously deserve a shout out here. There was quite a few saves from both of them, um, which was the same thing with, like you said, with Chattanooga and Northern Colorado. It was just a defensive save battle back and forth. So
Yeah.
um, I kind of tie it into the stars. Excuse me, sorry, the star things here too. Um, the top scorer and outstanding goalkeepers. I'm actually going to have to give it to the goalkeepers because both of them had chances to score goals, and both of the keepers made great plays to ensure that it was as close as it was.
Yep.
um, and then, I mean, where do you go for the rest of them? Just a great defensive battle for both teams. They were so close, and me and I'm still kind of figuring out exactly XG and offensive and defensive G plus, right? So their numbers are so similar that these were two evenly matched teams, and like I said, it took one hell of a personal effort to break this one.
Yep. And if you look at Chattanooga's schedule so far, they've had 2 matches, haven't scored a goal, but they've only let in 1.
Mm-hmm.
So that further shows how things are going to be when you play them.
Yeah, a strong defensive team. That's been enough to get the job done in the past few seasons. So
Yeah. All right. You got your 3 stars for this one?
yeah, the single star is going to be both goalkeepers. I can't really separate those two, just because the keeper for Chattanooga is. I mean, with a shot like that, most keepers are not going to save that unless they're 7 foot tall. I mean, he was in a good position. The ball was just placed in the perfect position. Um, so both keepers are going to get the single star. Um, and then the highly influential player is, for me, is Cerritos, for the goal because he didn't get the first one, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then, man, it's the last one for me. Sorry, I'm looking through the stats right now, really quick. Um, oh, let's give it to. I want to say Bijev. Played 89 minutes. Just lost it too. Anyway, I mean, they just the whole kind of team effort here. It was everyone played that well today that it was hard to distinguish anybody. But yeah, Fuego just offensively was the better team, so just had to give it to somebody else on Central Valley's offense.
Yeah. And then let's see. We've kind of gone over, some certain questions that may pop up in regarding, either of those clubs.
Mhm.
So we can move on to the next match, Tormenta versus Northern Colorado. This one was a bit of a surprising one for many reasons.
Huge surprise.
Yeah.
Did not see this one coming at all. Just
And I
insane.
texted you almost immediately that night because I noticed the stark difference in their attendance that night.
hmm Yeah, so it was at Tormenta's stadium. 1,085 was the amount of people there. And actually, funnily enough, that is larger than their average last season by about 40 people. But has been smaller than their other ones. But again, being a college town, it is spring break and everything still. So I'm not super shocked by that, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, this match, I was texting you and Chip about it the whole time because this is the one that I was really kind of focused in on. Just because I wanted to know a little bit more about how Northern Colorado would do and to see if Tormenta would kind of break out of their slump from the last match. But damn, no, not even slightly.
Yeah. And things got started in the 25th minute when Robert Cornwall scored the first goal for Northern Colorado, assisted by Stefan Lukic. Man, that was just Robert Cornwall storming the box.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, that was shocking to see. Gosh, sorry. that was kind of shocking to see from this Northern Colorado team that we did not kind of know exactly how the team was going to play. Um, but I think even more shocking from Tormenta. I know that they have a kind of a makeshift back line right now. Um, but they did not look like the team that won the title last season by any stretch in
Yeah.
this match.
Yep.
The defenders seemed kind of like they didn't really know what they were. I don't want to say they didn't know what they were doing, but they didn't know where each other were going to be. So it's hard to stop a team like Northern Colorado, who we've seen in the past that they do know how to score. They have the players that can do it. But yeah, it's just a massive letdown by Tormenta in this match.
Yep. And Norty Nortai, I'm sorry, Nortai Norty. Gosh, I always screw up his name, and I'm so sorry for it. Had an unassisted goal in the 76th minute,
Yep. Yeah.
and then Mark Hernandez had another unassisted goal in the 83rd minute to give him the insurance to the insurance policy.
Mm-hmm. You know what's really crazy too, is that Northern Colorado did this to the defending champions without arguably their best offensive player.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, I mean, Irvin Parra is not even there, and I know Irvin Parra actually pointed this out on Twitter that he wasn't there, even though he was on the lineup card for Northern Colorado.
yeah,
So the league somehow screwed that one up and threw him on the card, even though he wasn't there. I mean, there wasn't anything that you can do, I guess. But and one thing that I was not expecting to see from Northern Colorado, because I knew they could score, um, but what I wasn't expecting to see from them was their ability to absorb any and all pressure that Tormenta's pretty heavy offense could put on them, and
yeah,
then just instantly hit them on a counterattack. I did not know that this Northern Colorado team was that fast to be able to do what they did to Tormenta all night long.
yep. I mean, it's crazy the way that they handled the pressure, and with a back line of Opara, Rogers, Cornwall, Rendon. I mean, they were doing a really good job, and then you have Lalo in goal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Man, I mean, they have a quality defense back there, and they really facilitate things moving in the opposite direction on offense. I mean, Eamon Zayed's got a good system there in Northern Colorado.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it looks like they're. I mean, you saw it a little bit towards the end of last season with them, and it just seems like it's kind of continued. Just that momentum built up from last season is carrying over. So that's all credit to a good coach and a good coaching staff to keep it going year after year.
Yeah, and I'd say that Tormenta had the advantage probably in the first 20 minutes, but then from 20 minutes on, I mean, I feel like it was pretty heavily hailstorm the rest of the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you'd see little switches back and forth here and there, but um, there wasn't really anything too troubling for Northern Colorado. They seemed to handle it really, really well.
Yeah. Well, do you want to get into the 3 stars for this one?
And man, just you come and you pretty much punk the defending champions. You just give
Yeah.
it to all three goal scorers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cornwall, Norty, and Hernandez. Just
Yep.
they can have all three of them on this one because there wasn't a whole lot. Um, there wasn't a whole lot going for Tormenta in this match. And the craziest part is they had 65% of the possession.
Mhm.
They just, for some reason, could not connect string passes together forward. There was quite a bit of back passes that were going on and trying to situate and reassess the field, and it wasn't working. Northern Colorado was shutting it down pretty hard.
Yeah.
Um, but I will say too, there was 31 fouls total in this match, 20 of which being for Northern Colorado, and it kind of seemed like the physicality of Northern Colorado was a little bit too much for Tormenta in this one. They seem to be getting frustrated pretty quickly and easily, and that could have led to some of their inability to attack, I guess, or inability to want to push forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Um, are you concerned at all about Tormenta?
Oh yeah, I think so. Because they don't really look like the team that we saw last year. So there's a whole lot that you're going to have to do to figure out. I mean, granted, guys coming back from injury and stuff like that is going to help them a lot. And I think they're going to be a better team once that happens. But in the meantime, you're going to have to figure out how to start getting some points and getting this team put together um, to kind of set you up for success instead of setting you up for failure. Because I mean, it's fine to lose matches, but it's not fine to be even say be dominated, but be figured out so easily by the opposing side.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, I mean
And
it's concerning for sure for Tormenta. They got to figure something out.
if you look at their next five, they have home matches. So this is not in sequential order of their schedule, but they have two home matches in the next five. They have a home match against Greenville and another home match against Richmond, and then they have three road matches against Lexington, One Knox, and Chattanooga.
Eesh. Oof.
Yeah, that's not a fun schedule.
All very physical teams, all
Yeah,
teams that are going to test you
yeah,
and test your defense specifically with all of them. So, yikes.
yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what they can do at this point. I mean, it's aside from somehow finding the cure for all of their guys to be back on the field instantly, you just kind of got to ride the storm out, I guess, and try to figure it out as it goes.
And we were wrong. So I said that it was Ronald Cerritos. It was Alexis Cerritos.
Oh, okay.
So that's my bad. Ronald is his dad.
Oh, okay.
So there
Gotcha.
you go. Um, and then for Northern Colorado, let me see what their schedule looks like because I want to see if they have any more surprises in store for us in the coming weeks.
I think they've got Omaha here before too long.
I think so, and if that's the case, I would love to see the guys from Linners and Boozers come out
hmm
to hang out with us.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, all road matches. They go. Oh man. Oh, never mind. Let me scroll down a little bit further. Yeah. Oh, they finally have their first home match in late May, but leading up to that, they have four away matches. Oh, these are rough. They go to Richmond, to Omaha,
Oof. Oof.
Knoxville, and
Oh.
then Ford Madison.
Oh man,
Yeah, that is brutal.
that's that's a tough schedule. That's every one of those is a the vast majority of those are almost sure-ins for um, playoff potential. Um,
Yeah.
and all being away too, that's tough. We're gonna find out what kind of team Northern Colorado is real
Exactly.
quick.
Those are going to be the matches that they look back on later in the season and think either, man, I'm really glad we got those points, or damn, we missed out on that one.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And then, oh, did you see that? And so going to league wide news, did you see that they named the North Carolina and what was the what was that derby that we were talking about?
Oh, didn't they ended up naming it the Battle for North Carolina?
Oh, did they really? I thought it was the Dogwood Derby.
Thought
Oh,
I
it
saw
was
something earlier
Charlotte
today.
and North Carolina.
Could have been. I could be wrong, but I thought I saw something today about it. Something being the Battle for North Carolina.
Yeah. Well, I hope they settled on Dogwood instead.
Sounds better to me,
Yeah.
personally. I agree with you there.
There were some good social media posts across the league, really. I mean, there were some funny ones. I think Charlotte had one where they were asked about Sasquatch leading up to their Appalachian FC match
Perfect.
tomorrow in the Open Cup. I thought that was pretty funny.
That's perfect. You have to ask about Sasquatch playing them. I mean, when you make it a part of your club like they have and have some fun with it, I mean, you got to have fun with it while you can.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. Um, and then we have 5 matches in week 4, and they're all on Saturday nights.
Woo!
Yeah. And the 6 p.m. kickoffs Central Time, 6 p.m. kickoffs are Lexington hosting Madison. That'll be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And then North Carolina and Charlotte. There's your rival.
Ooh,
There's your
yes.
derby.
I'm super excited to see that one, honestly.
Yeah.
That
And
might
then
be
half
my
hour
match of the
later,
week.
yeah, could be. And then half hour later, we have Chattanooga hosting One Knox. That could be good.
Hmm?
And Tormenta hosting Greenville. That's gonna be that's gonna be tasty.
Yeah. I mean, well, if the past few matches have told you anything, Tormenta's going to beat them. So then we'll
Yep.
really not know where we stand with Tormenta.
Exactly. And then your League One after dark is going to be Central Valley Fuego hosting Union Omaha.
Yes. Love some After Dark action.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
Oh, I guess we should too. Speaking of One Knox, we got to give a shout out. They did play their U.S. Open Cup match tonight, and
We did.
unfortunately lost in the 120th minute. Um, shit, who are they playing? I was just watching it before I
Memphis
came on.
901 FC.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Took them literally to the wire.
Yeah.
Like they, after the goal was scored, they played the ball forward. It bounced around twice, and then it got called. So
Yeah.
literally in the dying seconds, tough break, but um, really encouraging to see from One Knox to
Yep.
take a championship side down to the wire.
Yep. Yeah. I was really hoping they were going to go to PKs.
So was I. I thought they were going to. Um,
Yeah, I thought so too.
yeah, I know there was an injury late for them. They had to sub. Um, actually, Claudio, former Union Omaha player, came on late for them. Um, but yeah, I wonder if that had anything to do with it because they did lose it on a corner kick.
Mhm.
So um, just unfortunate that they played so well, and it seemed like there were quite a few fans there too. So um,
Yeah,
full
there were.
credit to them there.
Yeah. And you could hear them pretty well in the broadcast too.
Mhm.
That was
That's
that was fun to hear.
that is a super nice stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's Tennessee's stadium, but it's really nice. I really like the camera angle. It's nice up and high, but it's not like football stadium high where it's got to be, a little bit higher and they can zoom in because it's a little bit slower paced, but um, great angles and everything in that stadium.
And it was a nice wide field too. I mean, it was
Yeah.
perfect for open play.
Hmm. Yeah, it was a good one. There's but bringing it back to uh, League One, and there's a few really good matches in here, and quite a few. I think each one of these matches is kind of a gut check
Hmm.
style match. As far as Lexington versus Madison, we don't know much about Madison right now. Um, and we know Lexington's a little bit better than a lot of people have given them credit for, as we talked about earlier. So that's going to be a tough one to predict. I don't really know how I would even begin to try to put that one together, just because we don't have enough information on Madison. Um, but for me, I think the highlight, if I was a 100% not casual, but just coming in as a neutral, North Carolina and Charlotte's going to be the one I'm watching, because those are
Yeah.
two high-powered offenses that, again, defense may or may not be a little bit suspect. So we'll see which team lets in more goals, or we'll have like a 10-goal thriller and it'll end in a 5-5 draw. I'd be just fine watching that too.
Yep. Yeah, there's
Uh,
gonna be some fun matches on this weekend.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, suppose I usually give a prediction, so I suppose I better. Lexington Madison, I'm gonna go with a draw. Probably a 2-2 draw is what I'm feeling on that one.
Okay.
North Carolina versus Charlotte. Ooh, I'm gonna take Charlotte 2-1
Okay.
over North Carolina. Chattanooga versus One Knox. I after watching tonight, really like this One Knox team. So I'm gonna go 2-0 for One Knox. I think Chattanooga's scoring woes continue. Greenville versus Tormenta. I think it's a little too early for Tormenta to turn around that defensive woes, but I don't remember. Somebody came back and told us when Keziah was going to be back, but I don't think it's for this match.
And you got to remember that Greenville is traveling back across the country,
That's true.
coming back from Phoenix.
I'm gonna go a 0-0 draw for that one.
Yeah.
Just too unknown for Tormenta, and then Greenville with all that travel, and then Central Valley versus Omaha. Omaha 3-0.
3-0?
3-0. There's a pattern with all my Omaha picks.
I was just gonna say the same thing. Yeah. That Union Omaha Central Valley one makes me nervous.
It does. Central Valley's a pretty good squad, and we don't know jack shit about Omaha yet, because
Yeah.
we're recording this the night before their Open Cup match, which would only be the second time we've seen them in action. So
Exactly. Yeah.
who knows? I'm going to say 3-0, but if I was actually picking unbiasedly, I would say it's probably closer to a 1-0, and I would take Omaha over Central Valley. I just have more confidence in Omaha's defense than I do Central Valley's.
Yeah. It'll definitely be interesting to watch. I like all those predictions. Those are all good. There's not there. I mean, I know that we've had previous weeks where I'm like, oh, really? But
Mm-hmm.
I think this one, like, okay, I can see those happening. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Again, we're so early. Picking these is also almost like picking them out of a hat too, and just throwing something up. Um, but we'll see. I didn't do too bad last week, so we'll see if that continues, or if we go back to
Yeah.
week one
Man,
style.
you were crazy good last weekend.
Here's hoping, anyway.
Well, with that said, I mean, we don't have a whole lot more to discuss. We kept that, you know, pretty tight tonight.
Yep, pretty. Oh, I mean, it helps when there's not that many matches that happened, and we had one less to talk about because Omaha and What Knox got canceled. So
Yep.
that makes it a little bit quicker and easier.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, plus we had Brandon on who did quite a bit of talking, because when that dude's on, I'm gonna just let him preach. So
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. We want to send another shout out and thanks to Brandon for joining the show. It was fun as always to chat with him and get his insight and um, to celebrate his victory in the E Cup. So that was cool. Very
Hmm.
nice of him to join us. I know that he's a very busy guy, so for him to join us, that was cool.
Yeah, that that was awesome, and it was really good talking to him face to face instead of like via Twitter. So
Yeah. Well, with all of the Open Cup matches tomorrow and Thursday, and then league matches on Saturday, um, there's plenty of League One action coming your way.
mhm,
So stay tuned to us for more content. We have a bunch of content that's going to be coming out tomorrow. Since I have the day off, I have time and freedom to work on some projects. So you're going to see a lot of activity from us on social media tomorrow. So look out for a bunch of content from us. And yeah, once the kickoffs start, both tomorrow, Thursday, and Saturday, I mean, just watch the streams if you're in the stands. I
mhm,
mean, enjoy the matches and just enjoy all the soccer that we can.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. We will be back on. Are we going to do a Friday show?
I don't think we had talked about it, but I don't think I'm
We
doing
can
any.
talk about that. Yeah,
Yeah,
we can talk about that.
I don't think I'm doing anything on Friday, so that should be fine.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll keep you guys updated if we're going to be doing any sort of a Friday call-in show. If so, definitely call in, send us questions,
Yep.
let your voice be heard. We want to hear from you guys. So um, Fridays and Sundays are for you guys.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your night and enjoy your Open Cup matches and your week 4 action.
All right. Thanks, guys.